Let me get you up close with some of the finer details and touches in here. Digital instrument cluster here. This is changing context based on what we're doing here on the screen. Big glossy central screen here. Nice sharp graphics. New climate control console. We've got one dial that can control 3 different settings. I like how simple this is. Extra points for storage inside of this. Electronic release here for the upper storage console. An additional glove box down there. Double-decker center storage here. Wireless smartphone charging bin down here. There's a place for just about everything in here. This is the Land Rover Discovery HSE with the P360 straight-six turbo hybrid engine and R-Dynamic package, which clocks in with an as-tested price of about 92,000 Canadian dollars as you see it here. This is a luxury SUV with many strengths and a few weaknesses, and in this video I'll be showing you everything I can about what I learned during a long-distance test drive through Northern Ontario with plenty of highway, back roads, off-road and nighttime driving, and I'll be popping up to explain some of the Discovery's key features and functions throughout as well. The Land Rover Discovery is largely defined by a driving experience that's dialed in to make miles of highways, back roads, and trails disappear with as little disturbance, feedback, or interruption from the outside world as possible. Still, this is a machine with driving comfort and not reflexes in top position on its scorecard, right alongside high above average luxury SUV off-road capabilities. It's a velvety smooth highway ride with well-controlled noise levels, leaving little more than the odd lick of tire noise or a muted solid clomp from the suspension over highway expansion joints or potholes. It's a comfortable ride, right down to the audible feedback from the road surface beneath. Road and tire noise is nicely managed, and changes to road surface texture usually had less of an effect on cabin noise levels than I expected. The shocks can even suck up bumps and dips, neutralizing unwanted body motions in real time over highways and back roads, with a central nervous system actively controlling 4 individual dampers on a continual basis. The Discovery's ride feels custom controlled to neutralize virtually every bump in the road just right. So this adaptive suspension is soft and pillowy but never bouncy. Unwanted body motions and rebound are largely neutralized before they occur, giving you a hovercraft-like ride that sees the body and occupants within at rest much more of the time. So come for the comfort and stay for the engine, an Ingenium Series straight-six that runs a hybrid electric boost, turbocharger, and 48-volt hybrid-fired electric supercharger. Let me show you one of the things that you hear, or actually don't hear, when you start the engine in the Land Rover Discovery. So we've got it nice and quiet in here. We're going to hold the brakes, press the engine start button, listen carefully. So no sound of an engine starter because, of course, this is a 48-volt mild hybrid system. There is no conventional engine starter. With the orchestrated efforts of the engine and its entourage of power adders, drivers get 355 horsepower, along with impressive low-rev throttle response, and all with a reasonable fuel bill thanks to the latest electric hybrid tech. Torque-rich power is deployed across a big fat span of its rev range, with the hybrid electric system boosting low-rev throttle response before the gas-fired turbocharger sees the straight-six to redline. So this engine is rich with torque and very quiet. That 48-volt hybrid system also enhances the effectiveness and smoothness of the auto-stop system significantly. End of the day, I think light-footed drivers will really love this setup. In most driving, there's no need to break 2,000 revs, and plenty of power down low where the engine is its most efficient. Engine sounds are highly muted across most of the rev range, with about 3,000 revs or more required to get any audible feedback from under the hood. Even opened up, the sound effects are a mere distant hum as power piles on in the upper half of the available revs. So the engine adds to the comfortable experience, though for the money, shoppers after something more lively, spirited, and responsive do have other options to consider. More on that later. Elsewhere on driving dynamics, steering is heavy and solid in your hands but lacks the precision response that some drivers prefer. Same goes for the throttle. You'll need to give it a mighty shove to get that straight-six to wake up without pre-engaging sport mode. So mostly the Discovery likes to keep its revs low and its sounds out of the cabin. Even the gear shifts seem calibrated to be smooth and careful, that is, uneventful. The main driver controls, throttle, steering, and brakes make it easy to drive this machine smoothly, though it is far from the most spirited or energizing drive available for the money. Plenty of winding two-lane highways carved through moose country in my part of northern Ontario, typically flanked by narrow shoulders. In these settings, I found the Jeep Grand Cherokee Summit Reserve easier to place within its lane and more stable in motion. The Jeep is sharper at the controls, in a word. Sportier drivers should steer their attention towards a comparably equipped Grand Cherokee like this one. The Hemi V8 engine provides a more pleasing performance experience, and the handling and steering are much more precise between the pair. On off-road driving, the Discovery has hardware and electronics to power years of adventure. On my usual off-road testing circuit of moderately muddy ruts with some rocky trails, slippery climbs, and steep descents, it performed with confidence to spare in its fully automatic setting on factory tires, with no traction adders or special drive modes engaged. So for light to moderate off-road duty, the fully automatic setting calls the shots expertly. Drivers will hardly even notice a slipping wheel when the going gets challenging. Traction control corrections are soft and quiet, and in all there's a smug satisfaction in just applying steady throttle and feeling the electronics extract grip from the terrain beneath as you float along on top of all of the hardware. If you need more capability for serious adventures, a menu of drive modes and traction enhancements, complete with additional on-screen tips and information, are available at a button press. The Discovery's suspension can also be lifted up for maximum clearance in a matter of seconds, too. Still, on rocky trails and badly beaten backroads, the Discovery's suspension can generate the odd whack or clunk that's par for the course in SUVs like this one. Certain road surfaces can spike noise and feedback levels in here as well. In all but the most severe settings I drove it in, I found my tester to feel nicely calibrated to deliver consistent comfort and help drivers cover rough ground quickly and peacefully. On rougher backroad surfaces, you're pretty nicely covered too. So on specific disturbances that I'm normally expecting in this setting, things like noise, vibrations, harshness, unwanted body motions, and so on, really all nicely managed. I think you'll feel like you're getting your money's worth here. I'd say it's handling these bumps and potholes and frost heaves more quietly than the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Almost no feedback through the steering, which means I'm doing less work to keep the vehicle pointed where I want it to go. You do get the odd clunk and the odd whack coming through the suspension. That is fairly par for the course, especially in a vehicle like this on 22-inch wheels on this type of a road. And you do know that you're going over a pretty rough surface, but the overwhelming sensation here is that you're pretty nicely filtered from the worst stuff that the road's throwing at you. A couple of little clicks and ticks coming through from the dashboard, a couple of maybe interior body panel rattle noises coming in from behind. Again, par for the course in just about any vehicle. Almost nothing does really well on this surface in terms of interior noise levels. But again, I think this is all really nicely managed. Nothing is standing out here as a major complaint to me. Also worth noting here, good sensation of being in control in terms of the suspension, keeping those tires in contact with the road. A lot of trucks and SUVs will sort of bounce and skip over road surfaces this bumpy. In here, I feel like it's really easy to keep the vehicle on course, and not that I'm fighting it to go in the direction that I want it to. So all of that to say that on this particular road, where almost nothing does a really good job, Discovery's doing a pretty good job. Elsewhere on board, my tester's interior used just two main colors, black and metal. There's a big glossy touch screen in the middle, two aluminum slashes to visually break the interior into 3 forward segments, and all of about 4 buttons on the forward dash. Like the exterior, signature styling elements carry plenty of brand identity through the cabin, but without shouting at you. Premium materials and touches are applied in abundance, and finer details are nicely executed and easy to find should your eyeballs or fingertips go in for a close-up. But while driving, I like how the clean and calm forward dash and cluster design seem to fade into the background while you focus on the road and scenery out the great big windows from your commanding and upright driving position. Alright, so let me get you up close with some of the finer details and touches in here. Digital instrument cluster here, that's customizable by using the little buttons down here on this trackpad. And with that, we can scroll through different menus and call up whatever information we like just by using this little trackpad down here on the steering wheel. And you can see how this is changing context based on what we're doing here on the screen. And so this D-pad surface is kind of a 2-in-1 deal. You can see when we're in the menu system that we've just got these 4 arrows. When we back out of the menu system by pressing up here, we go back to our more common functions. Big glossy central screen here is my hand for reference. Get you right up close there. Nice sharp graphics, easy to read, not too cluttered. Highly responsive to your touch too. We can even adjust the ride height in here, go into the drive menu. So nice graphics, everything very logical and simple to find your way around. Also highly responsive to your touch too. And so if you're someone who wants a high-end look and feel to their infotainment system, this isn't going to disappoint. Down here we've got a new climate control console. Pretty interesting bit of design to this too. So we adjust the temperature this way. If we want to adjust the seat, cooling or heating, we push right for heat and left for ventilation. And to adjust the fan speed, we pull backwards on the dial and turn up and down. So in this way, we've got one dial that can control 3 different settings. So these buttons here are touch sensitive. You do require a little bit of pressure, and it clicks back at you to confirm your selection. But again, I like how simple this is. We've got a nice, big, easy to read screen. The climate control console down here is very simple and easy to work. And taken as a whole, that helps add to what I think is a simple, elegant, and tidy look to this cabin. And extra points for storage inside of this, where we've got room to put things like our cell phone, maybe a camera lens cap, and so on. Keep those out of sight and organized. Electronic gear shifter, so hold the brakes, click the little button on the front here, down for drive, forward for reverse, half a click down there for neutral with the button pressed, and P for park. Volume control for the stereo is right here. That should actually be up there somewhere, but you will get used to this. And we've got this very simplified terrain selector system down here. So we can push this dial, which sprouts up. And you can see there that when it does, we've got access to these different modes and programs here on the central screen. I'll bring those back up for you so we can have a closer look. So rotating the dial changes the engaged mode from eco, comfort, grass, gravel, snow, mud ruts, sand, rock crawl, and wade mode, which is specifically designed for use in deeper water. We can also access all of those different modes and settings here, the 4x4i menu, which gives you some tool tips and some pointers. And once you accept the disclaimer, well, then you're into central command here for all of the Discovery's off-road systems. So with this, I can monitor, I can look at the position of my suspension, what the differentials and four-wheel drive system are doing, and so on. And we've always got this info button here that calls up some additional information and pointers that might be useful in the mode that you're using. So by just watching what's going on your screen and slightly rotating this dial, you're able to monitor and customize the Discovery for whatever you're trying to get up to. And of course, those modes are also referenced here in the instrument cluster for easy access. When you're done, just push that down and we're back into our automatic sort of one-size-fits-all setting. Also worth noting as well, in any of the driving that you're seeing in this particular video, we're just leaving this in the automatic setting. This is fairly light off-roading. There's no need to really go into any of the drive modes or advanced settings for this type of driving other than maybe adjusting the ride height a little bit. Point is, even in its automatic sort of one-size-fits-all setting, this is pretty much going to sort out anything you're going to throw its way. Electronic release here for the upper storage console, which folds down like that. More room for your stuff, but does not want to stay open. And we do have an additional glove box down there. Double-decker center storage here. We've got the deep bin for your larger items. Close that down, just grab the other little tab underneath and open, and we've got a shallower bin there for things like your wallet and smartphone. Wireless smartphone charging bin down here, by the way, nice rubberized surface to keep your phone from moving around, little lip there so it doesn't come flying out when you press the throttle. And now my phone's recharging in there wirelessly and neatly stored out of the way. 2 additional cup holders here with a cover. There's a place for just about everything in here. And that helps you keep your driving environment clean, tidy, and organized. We've got this little alert icon, and that's to warn you if there's an incoming car. When you open one of the back doors, clever little safety feature. Big tall windshield, big tall windows. Rest your arm up here on the top of the door sill with the window switches right at your fingertips, and this is a tall, commanding, and in-control driving position. At night, that same forward dash is blissfully free of excessive lighting and reflections, meaning that mostly it's just you, the road ahead, and the far-reaching, bright white flood of illumination from the LED projectors. Here's a closer look at the performance of the Discovery's LED headlights. I like the lighting color, the reach, and the peripheral illumination from this headlight system, and while you're watching this footage, keep in mind that the cameras that I'm using can't see in the dark as well as a human being. So the video on your screen is a good representation of what to expect, although this setup looks even more incredible when you're looking at it with your naked eyes. Front seat, little bit of a hop up, not too bad. Room is generous all the way around me. We have got more than the width of my hand in terms of headroom above with the sunroof. Nothing too cramped or crowded. Everything pretty logical. We've got a fairly simple layout to the dash here, not a lot of clutter. I want to draw your attention to the commanding driving position. We've got lots of tall glass around, big tall windscreen, and even the window controls up here on top of the, what do you call this? On top of the door
sill?
Door sill? It's a door sill, right?
I would say.
And even these window switches here at the top of the door sill, it encourages you to sort of sit back, relax, take in your surroundings, and enjoy the sense of space. But now let's see how somebody of my size, being about 5'10" and 200 pounds, would sit directly behind themselves. So pretty big door opening, nothing in my way, didn't hit my hip or my thigh on any of the door opening hopping in. Got more than the width of my hand in front of me here in terms of knee room. Seats recline, of course, if we want them to. We can kind of kick back like that and relax a little bit. More leaning forward, more upright. Great place to sit back, relax, and socialize on the go. We've even got these cushions here on the seats. Really thick headrest here, but watch, you can angle these out like that so they coddle the side of your head in there. Have them nice and flat, or push them forward like that if you want them to coddle the sides of your head, just like on a first-class business flight. Split tailgate, so we've got the upper tailgate here. We've got this panel here that sometimes opens with the tailgate, sometimes actually just requires you to push that button right there. Slides down out of the way. This will support 600 pounds. This could be sort of a workstation surface, tailgate seating, and so on. We come on over here, power port. Hooks for your groceries or your gear. These are the controls to fold the rear seats up and down. We'll be showing you that in a bit. And these two buttons right here actually allow you to work the air suspension. So if we're loading in a dog, something heavy, or anything where we want the rear of the vehicle to be lower, and if I want, I can press this again and lift it right up. Makes for some easier loading and unloading. Let me show you some footage of how that works with my dog. A little idea for you of how much storage you've got behind that third row. And of course you can just push the button there to make those seats disappear if you don't need them. Definitely not too graceful for an adult of my size to actually get in and out of these rear seats, but once you're in here, headroom not too bad. Definitely don't have the width of my hand like I do in the front two rows. The view out actually isn't terrible either. Plenty of glass beside me, plenty of glass up overhead. And so I'd say there's no real graceful way for an adult of my size to get in and out back here, but once you're seated, it's actually not too bad at all. Little look at the knee room here with the forward seat, just up enough to give me some comfort here. We do have the motorized slider here, so we just push that. Electric motor doing most of the work to get that seat out of the way. Then we've got to give this a good bit of a shove. And that reveals what I think is the problem getting back here. For someone of my size, you can see that opening at the bottom here, just a little bit wider than my boot. And so you do have to be careful getting in and out. Door opening's fairly large. Watch your head up there. Watch your feet don't get snagged down here in this opening. And then it's just a matter of finagling your way through, and out you go. So two final things to mention for prospective shoppers. First, the Discovery's turning circle is smaller than you think. That makes this big SUV feel fairly agile for its size in parking situations. The camera system helps here too. And second, a powerful washer system uses 3 spray jets to bathe the windshield with fluid, and 2 more to clean the headlights. Pull that wand and the Discovery practically gives itself a bath. And if you're considering the Land Rover Discovery or a top-shelf Jeep Grand Cherokee, make sure to drive both. Depending on your desired mix of comfort, reflexes, and performance, these two machines are some of the best on the road today. The Discovery's quieter-looking cabin and soft-on-its-feet ride were favorites of mine, though from a test drive of the Grand Cherokee in virtually identical situations, I found the steering and handling response are some of the best in a luxury SUV today, and to me that's where these two machines are the furthest apart. Comfort-first shoppers looking for a ride that's usually soothing will likely find the Discovery a little more appealing, though a similarly decked-out Grand Cherokee has a road feel that might just win over enthusiast drivers trying to choose between one or the other. It's a nice choice to have to make.